Welcome to the Law Dad Podcast, brought to you by Pritchard Injury Firm. I'm Zach Pritchard, lawyer, husband, and very tired father.
Dive into the heart of law and life with the Law Dad, Zach Pritchard, your guide through the world of injury law in North Georgia and Tennessee, where law, life, and leadership meet.
All right, today I am super excited. We've got one of my good friends, a fellow lawyer and dad, and just really one of the most interesting people I know. I will be straight. I've been looking for this. I'm kind of a little bit of a fangirl. I hope that's okay to say that because Brad is super. I know that's weird to say, dude, because you know for so long, but like I'm super excited to kind of dive in a little bit deeper into some of the cool things that you've got going on in your life. So today we've got Mr. Brad Stevens. Brad, thanks for being with us.
Glad to be here, Zach. Thanks for having me. I know we tried to link up a couple of times and we get derailed, but that's lawyer life, as we say. So I'm glad to finally be here. I blocked everybody off for you. There's awesome. There was just a tide of people coming at me. I just said no. It's Zach's time. So here I am.
I appreciate that, dude. Yeah, and it has. Thanks so much, man, for making time because it's been hard to coordinate. I mean, that's obviously the kind of the premise of this whole thing, right? Is that this whole law dad life kind of mix and going in. So I appreciate certainly the accommodation and being here today because I do. I mean, of course, I know a whole lot about you, but you've got so many cool like irons in the fire in different ways that like life is taking you. So just I tell you what, when I know, I mean, obviously you're kind of like the king of Cassville. I mean, like, yeah, if there was anybody that was said, this is the icon, I'm like, this is the guy, the spokesman. So tell me, I'm going to let you kind of take that basketball and run with it. So tell me.
Sure. That's appropriate ball too. That's my favorite sport.
Yeah.
So, it kind of came about, I never really thought about it when I was a kid. My dad owned Cass Grocery for 26 years. And so I started working there with him when I was about 9. Because I could reach the top of the Coke shelf, and I could sort of add and subtract in my head, so I could run the register a little bit. And so I worked up there a good bit, and I got to know all the people around there very well. Up at the store, Cass Groceries there at the intersection of Cassville and Cass White Road. So it was the only store in town for many, many years. So getting to know everybody there and all their stories and a lot of stuff that the stunts they would pull, the things they would get into. Always a lot of comedy for us. And I didn't think about it as much at the time until I went to college. And then when I was in Athens, I would tell stories about my hometown and these people, and my friends from Alpharetta and Johns Creek and Gwinnett County would be like, where is this place? Who are these people? And I was like, these are my neighbors. These people I grew up with. I'm related to most of them too, probably. And they said, man, you need to write this stuff down. And I mean, so that's how I started. Nobody had stories quite like it. It started, manifesting itself. And a lot of people know. I wrote a book about growing up there. And about being up at the store with my dad and everybody else. And people really took to it because it's mostly comedy. And people who I would say that we had some characters up there. Not people who are characters because they were trying to be. That's just who they are. And some of the stuff they get up to, and we interacted with them differently than like you and I do as lawyers, because a lot of times with what we see them, it's not a really great day for them. Somebody's hurt, somebody's sick, somebody's been arrested. At the store, people came in there every day because they needed something. They needed gas, they needed groceries, they needed waters for their kids' baseball game, they needed hardware, they needed kerosene, they needed all kinds of different stuff. And so I got to know them on that level, and most of the time it was a positive interaction, but with their foolishness added into it. But that's how that ended up being, because people just wanted me to tell stories about working at Cass Grocery for all those years.
Dude, and I got to tell you, I mean, first of all, the book is awesome. It's super, super cool, and it's hilarious. And I even mentioned, recently, I used that in trial, right? Yeah. In front of a jury, and it was just awesome. I read just some of the headings because it's a pretty comprehensive book, and of course, the end game is the last chapter, right? Mm-hmm. So I used that, but it was one of my favorites, and this was hilarious. I got a laugh out of the jury box, which was awesome. That Smith & Wesson is not a law firm. Yeah, dude, that was awesome. So I was like, some of I mean, it was hilarious, man. Some of these chapters were awesome, and just reading through some of this stuff, I was like, oh my God, you painted such a vivid picture of this just shenanigans sometimes, but just these, I think what was cool about it, just these real people. Yeah. I mean, that's super, super cool, man.
I'm glad I wrote it down in a lot of ways because, we sold the store years ago. All the stores like it have been sold as well, and the people who have bought them, they did not carry on with that way of life. There's no stores like that anymore, not in Bartow anyway. We had the old men sitting out front, drinking coffee and telling lies.
Chewing the fat.
True, yeah, 100%. And you're talking about Smith & Wesson. People always used to ask us if we ever got robbed. And I was, I can honestly say no.
Yeah.
And there's a good reason why. Because they all were carrying and we were carrying.
Yeah.
Smith & Wesson.
That's right.
So that's why we never got robbed. But those guys were the source of a lot of amusement for me. And I was a 12-year-old standing out there with them, and I'm wearing Air Jordans. And I couldn't tell them anything. I was a dumb kid who didn't know anything. If I chimed in, they would look at me like I kicked their dog. But they loved me anyway. But I learned a lot from them. I learned a lot what not to do. A lot of times, but I also had a lot of good life lessons that honestly I carry on, even today. And I tell people I got 2 educations coming up. The Bartow County education in the schools, and I got the one at Cass Grocery. And I don't know which one I use more, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, because it was an education in people. It was like an anthropological study of, because in the store you have people from all walks of life come in there. You had people who had 2 pennies to rub together, maybe living down, off Cassville Road, and then you would have, the owner of some giant corporation coming in too, who, spending money to them was nothing. But I got, so I saw every different and everybody in between, and it was a very interesting experience, and it's sad that no children now will probably ever get that experience because there's no such thing as a Cass Grocery anymore. Yeah,
and that's you make a good point, especially in the digital age that our kids live in.
Yeah.
That interaction and learning to kind of assimilate with a lot of different types of people is just so huge, man. I mean, that is a great quality. That makes you a well-rounded person.
I am just not a fan of the device generation we've got going on, and sad to me is, you probably remember this too, being from here. Remember cruising the Strip?
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah, Church Street,
cruising
around the old McDonald's.
Shout out to my older sister.
Yeah, sure. Be sure to get into a fist fight out there in Big Lots before it gets broken up. And then if you really wanted to go big, you go to Barrett Parkway and then go to Town Center Mall.
That's right.
Because see, that was our Twitter, that was our TikTok, that was our Facebook. That's just how you interacted with people. And now people don't do that anymore. It's such a strange thing for me because you don't see anybody doing that. There is no Strip anymore. Nobody cruises. No. They link up on FaceTime, or they may go to a coffee shop, maybe. Yeah. But I feel like they've missed out because I feel like it was simpler times, and I really thoroughly enjoyed that.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, that stuff, and of course, having Amanda. I mean, like I said, my older sister. Really, that's people like that paving the way. So oh my God, and I'd always beg, oh, please take me cruising with y'all. Please take me cruising. She said, no, Zach, man. I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. All right, one day. But hey, listen, like you said, we still got it in, and it was fun. And you're right, man. It was good fun. It was cleaner, and yeah, even the stuff we got into still kind of had its barriers, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's what my dad used to put it, which was true, because he would ask us what we got up to, and I'd be just like, nothing.
Yeah.
But he said, you can be mischievous, just not malicious.
Oh, that's true.
And I said, that's true. Yeah. So we never damaged people's stuff or hurt anyone. It was just foolishness. That's what I used to call it. But nobody ever got in really big trouble or anything like that. And if you got into a fist fight in front of Big Lots, back then, the police would roll up and honk their horn a couple of times, and everybody just scatter like roaches, and we're gone, and that would be the end of that for the night. So, but so they don't get to do that anymore.
I know, it is sad. That's crazy. So, I know, obviously, you took kind of those experience, and you mentioned a little bit, of course, going to UGA. So, what I don't know this. What did you study at UGA?
Actually, I was a journalism.
Okay.
I wanted to be a writer.
No kidding.
Yes,
there you go. Circle gets the square, man.
Yeah, I did. I was there. I was actually in the advertising section, PR type situation. And the reason I didn't go into that work, and honestly, it worked out pretty well that I didn't. They told us the digital age was coming. That was 2003.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite there yet, but I had several professors saying, "Hey, our industry is about to get a huge overhaul. You guys might want to have a backup plan because I really, really don't know how it's going to be."
Wow.
And my very last class was ad campaigns, and he's like, "We made the highest grade. My group made the highest grade in the class." He said, "You guys did a fantastic job," but he said, "I would not want to be in your shoes right now looking for a career in this because it's not looking good right now. And he was correct. Wow. I mean, like the ad agency stuff, like the Mad Men thing, that's gone.
Wow.
Those are over. I mean, they still exist, but that life is gone. Yeah. And, with computers and the way things have worked out, that a lot of those people lose their jobs. They're the first ones to go.
Sure. Gosh.
But honestly, I love the journalism school. I love Grady. I learned a lot. I met a lot of really great people who I hope if they did choose to stay in that life, I hope they're doing great. But, like the people who did newspapers, I mean, those things, newspapers are fading away quick, man. Yeah. I mean, if you're not syndicated, like Louis Grizzard was, or any of those guys like that, you can't really make a really great living in that. And it's a tough road to hoe. I mean, you have a lot of good people in there who could do a lot of great things with it, but there's just not the opportunity anymore.
Yeah. Wow. So then after that, so at what point is that what kind of sparked you to say, hey, I might want to go do this law thing, or what
Well,
happened there?
I knew a couple of people who were practicing law, and I talked to them about what they were doing, and I felt like that was a way I could use my skills and also help people and make a difference. As when we start out, we want to save the world one case at a time.
That's right.
Yeah. So I had that idea in my head. Went and took the LSAT, which was miserable.
Yeah, it is terrible.
I call it, this is a phrase I use often. I feel like the LSAT and the bar are like trailer hitches to the shin, both of them. I mean,
that's
they
a
are
good
just
one.
horrible experiences.
Yeah.
I would not wish on anyone.
God.
But yeah, did that, went to law school, went through every class you could imagine. And, I've run the gamut as far as, being an attorney goes. I've done a lot of, I've done street law, which is
street law.
Yeah, street law. I've done everything. I feel like I found a pretty good niche now for what I do, and it's a happier niche for me. I enjoy it a whole lot more now, because the street law thing, I did it for a while, and I figured it just wasn't for me. So.
Yeah, and I empathize with that. I did this kind of the same thing in the first couple of years of practice, and I mean, you knew that, and it wears on you. Not for me, but like you mentioned, that's what's really cool. You can find in the law like what you love to do, because I love what I do as well now. So, tell us a little bit about. I know kind of what you do, but what really is your focus right now? What are you doing?
So what I do is the probate work on wrongful death estates. A lot of times, that's I do the paperwork for different law firms that handle wrongful death cases and personal injury cases. I've done some work for you.
Yeah.
So there's a number of those that I do, and I still do some private things as well. I do some criminal defense. I'll do some civil stuff if it's something that I really want to do.
Sure.
Because street law, for those who don't know that out there, it's whatever comes in the door, you do it.
Yeah.
And that you say yes a lot, and when you say yes too much, you end up treading water. And that's
exactly
where
right.
I did not want to be.
Yes.
So now I don't tread the water anymore. I pick and choose what I decide to do, and then I go with that. But yeah, the probate niche that I have is the one I like the most. I feel like I'm helping people who need the help.
You are.
I feel it's a worthy thing. I also do a lot of county administration work for Bartow in the probate court.
Right.
I handle estates that are unrepresented. And I really have enjoyed doing that as well. I also do guardian ad litem work in the probate court, so I'm able to represent people with disabilities.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yes,
Very cool. Very cool.
And make sure that they're taken care of if someone's trying to get a guardianship over them, or if they're going to inherit some money or something like that. I make sure that they are squared away, because they're not able to answer for themselves. And if I had to say what my favorite thing to do is, that's it.
Okay.
And is to help them. It's near and dear to me, and I'll do it until I can't anymore.
Very cool, man. I mean, no, I didn't know you were doing. I mean, that's pretty robust. I knew obviously about the wrongful death stuff, and that's super helpful. I mean, especially as a personal injury attorney, so that you have, we're focusing on the liability side. We're focusing on making sure that we're investigating this whole thing and maximizing the recovery. But it's true, there's so many intricacies, especially with the estate stuff. How does that couple with the survivor's claim? And that's really the biggest piece that we find, is that when these people come to us, the first thing is that their world's shattered.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so having another attorney say, hey, listen, I'm gonna look after, this side of things. I'm gonna kind of go after the bad guys. But you got somebody right here to help you understand, hey, did this person have a will? Where are the life insurance policies? What gets put into the estate? Because probate can be really, not only for the layperson, but even for lawyers, can be very, very daunting,
Yeah.
But to be able to say, hey, I got a lawyer who's handling this for me, I find that gives them a whole lot of solace, you said.
You have, because you're right, especially with the death case. There's so many intricacies and working parts, and they're crushed because someone's gone. But then there's this, hey, we need restitution, and we need a closure here. and you have the whole probate thing coming at you. And I equate probate, honestly, for a lot of people, it's like bankruptcy law. It's like Greek.
It is Greek, dude.
And
Absolutely.
I've had some of the smartest lawyers I know, because I did bankruptcy work for years with Brian Kahn. Shout out to Brian, one of the best guys I know. I have guys who do intellectual property in Atlanta. I mean, highly intelligent humans who would get a bankruptcy stay notice in the mail and call me and be like, "Who?
What do I do?
I don't have any idea. Like, I don't know what to do. Am I getting sued? Am I in trouble?" They don't know.
Yeah.
Because probate's a lot like that. People who don't touch it. I mean, you get all this stuff, all this paperwork, because it's paperwork driven.
It is.
You have no idea what 90% of it's saying. It's very daunting. So that's where I come in, and I alleviate that for those folks. And I like doing that. I feel like I'm doing the right thing. I feel like it's a good living. Yeah. I mean, but I feel like it's, I make people happy in a way.
Sure.
And even in their worst of times, I feel like give them some peace of mind.
Absolutely. No, I think that's super cool. I'm going to switch gears just a second and talk a little bit about, because you've got, like I said, you've got a bunch of cool irons in the fire. I'm going to save my favorite for last, because I'm really going to dive into the sommelier stuff. But you're also doing some broadcasting.
Yeah, I have.
How did you get into that? And I mean, I know journalism, that's cool, but like, how'd you get into that? And,
don't do it as much as I used to.
Yeah.
But I got into that. I moved back here from New York in 2015 and made contact with Charles Wilson, who runs Bartow Sports Zone. And we got to talking on WYXC when it still existed about local sports and all that. We went on, and then something happened with the ownership there, and they no longer existed. And WBHF reached out to us immediately and said, "Hey, would you come on board and do your show here?" And it sort of graduated from that. And I did it for 7 straight years. I didn't do anything much last year. It's just, time constraints is just too much.
Sure.
But Charles is still carrying it on, and he's doing great. But we do football, baseball, basketball, you name it. I mean, we did a lot of football games. I had a lot of great nights doing that. We covered most of the county games.
Okay.
Because Matt and Don and those guys cover the Carsville games, and they've got that down. So they're good. But we would do Cass, Adairsville, and Woodland. And we did that for several years, and I've got to see a lot of great stuff. I've saw, from across the board. I mean, I got to see Trevor Lawrence play. One of the best people that's ever come out of here. Got to see Manny Jones, who played at Woodland, who's now in the NFL.
Yeah,
fantastic player. Sokovie White, who is at Georgia now.
Fantastic.
I mean, absolutely. All kinds of great players that have come through here. The great coaches we got to interact with. Administrators, interviews with all the different folks that used to come in. COVID kind of messed a lot of that up for a while. We still do Zoom whenever I do participate, but it used to be in person. And I really enjoyed that interaction. And being around sports like that, it's not like I'm turning back the clock or anything, because I don't live vicariously through anybody. My time has come and gone. I just enjoy being around the game, being around that.
Sure, absolutely.
Because I'm a firm believer in team sports. I always will be. I feel like the best lessons I learned outside of school and at the store were playing sports.
Absolutely.
Teamwork and believing in yourself, and picking people up when they're down, and listening to people who've been there before when you don't know what's going on. There's just a lot of good lessons to be learned, and I feel like all those kids come out of that thing with something positive. And a lot of the players have gone on to do well in college, playing sports or not. And I feel like that's been a very positive thing for me to be part of. And not to mention the other sports that aren't so big around here. I mean, we did football, baseball, and basketball, but I mean, we also focused on wrestling and soccer and and all this other stuff, and we've been able to try to bring that to the forefront. I mean, because a lot of people don't realize, you can read about it, you hear about it, but I mean, wrestling in this county.
Oh yeah,
this is the county for wrestling in the state of Georgia. If you want to look it up,
Woodland, goodness gracious,
Woodland and Cass both.
Yeah, Cass.
They've won between them in the last 10 years. I think they've won like 9 state championships or something like that. I mean, it's insane. And these kids are going Division I to the big schools to wrestle, because that's how good they are. And a lot of folks don't know that, because I mean, we focus around here on football, baseball, and that's fine. Sure. It's been pretty successful.
Sure, absolutely.
But there's a lot of other great athletes in other sports around here, and we like to focus on them too.
I think that's awesome, man. It's super cool.
Love it.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. I mean, and that's so AC, and you talk about team sports. AC, my oldest, plays soccer, and we're all in that. It's all week, every week, every week. I mean, dude, we just down and back to Columbus this past Sunday. Oh my gosh,
big fun.
Yeah, I know, right? From one soccer, but the big things, and so she got recently named team captain, which is kind of cool. She's still young, but we're kind of talking through those things with her. Is like, hey, these are life lessons. These are what's going to translate into your job and into even into your friend group and how your dynamics are going to change. And it's really truly how we run the law firm. If one of our core values is teamwork, right? So that's one of our core values, like teamwork, accountability, success, and happiness. Those are our four. And teamwork is really what brings us together. That, like you said, being selfless, sacrificing for somebody else, picking your teammate up, even when they're having a bad day. And we really do that, man. And I think, those lessons, same with me, I learned all the way coming up. I think you're right. Learning to interact. You talk about that social piece and deal with somebody else and deal with adversity. Because, life is not easy. And so our kids need that certainly too. So that's super cool. I agree with you definitely on that piece.
Yeah. I mean, you see the successful teams, locally and on the professional and college
Absolutely,
level.
yeah.
You look at, take the 2021 Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah,
Just came up with that one off the top of my head. You listen to interviews about that time and that team and like how those guys were like a brotherhood.
Yeah.
And now they all are on the Philadelphia Eagles pretty much, and they won the Super Bowl.
Right.
So, but Jalen Hurts said it in an interview. He's like, these Georgia guys came in because their teamwork and their chemistry is so good. They brought that to the Eagles with them, and it changed the culture of our team.
Yeah.
And and that's what it is. Those guys, they bled for each other. They would say that out loud independently, and Kirby pointed it out too. And I feel like, and then on the flip side, this past season, several guys mentioned that was missing this past year.
Yeah.
And that's what was wrong. Everybody said, "What's wrong with this team?" They said that's what was wrong with them.
Yeah,
the culture had been damaged. And I look at that as those kids. They're a picture of that. Like, hey, if you work together and you focus on a common goal instead of yourself and what you can get, you can win Super Bowls and national championships. That's the end game, right? You mentioned the end game.
Yeah,
that's the end game.
Yeah,
right. I would hope so.
Absolutely.
So but I feel like it's incredibly important. Those kids learn that whether or not they like it or not. Because sometimes being on a team like that, you got to sacrifice. You got to take some punishment, and you don't like it sometimes. But when you sweat and you take the beating later on in life, you remember, hey, that wasn't so bad.
Mm-hmm. Resilience being tough.
Absolutely,
that's important. What are you seeing? I know obviously you got kids; they're both great. So what are you seeing in your own home, man? What's going on?
Oh yeah, the kids. My goodness, they're involved in everything. My son plays every sport that he can pick up.
Yeah.
He's in soccer now. First time he's ever played. I can't help him much with that. I can kick the ball back to him, but he asked me about a rule, and I'm like, I have no idea.
Offsides?
Yeah, whatever that means.
You mean defense,
don't jump across the line of scrimmage.
Right? Is there a line of scrimmage in soccer?
Yeah, but it's he's in this little league that they've got in Cartersville, which is fantastically run, by the way. And it's a 5-on-5 league.
Oh, great! Yeah,
they don't really call any penalties really all that much. They let the kids just go out there and just have fun and learn the game a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's pretty wild because you got some who, in that age, their coordination is a lot higher than some of the others.
Oh, yes.
And when that happens, my goodness, they can score 100 goals. So
I remember those little superstars.
But lots of fun out there for him. He played football this past year. I helped coach him. He made the All-Star team. He was really excited about that. He's a lineman on both sides of the ball. And then he played basketball as well. And he said basketball was his favorite. But then football was his favorite when he was playing it, and now soccer is his favorite. So who knows? He's played I have him also put him in wrestling too.
Oh yeah,
and I'm going to do that when he's done with soccer. I'm going to put him back in wrestling.
Good
because I think when he started wrestling, his confidence level went up big time.
Yeah.
My daughter does not play sports, has no interest in them whatsoever. She inherited my height.
Yeah.
I'm 6'4". She's very tall.
Yes.
And she shoots jumpers left-handed. And could not care less. Absolutely not. She was in the driveway. I was telling your folks here earlier. She was shooting left-handed in my driveway in a princess dress and high heels and a tiara, and hit 3 straight jumpers left-handed. And of course, my basketball eyes went this wide. I was like, babe. And she was like, I just want to draw, Daddy. I was like, fine, whatever.
Well, here.
She goes in the house and paints and draws stuff, and she just. It's just not her thing, man.
Yeah.
So, but she's a dancer as well. She's over here at Carswell School of Ballet, and she does
that's great.
Stuff at the Grand Theater. So she is active. She just doesn't do sports.
Sure.
They're both they're both really smart, and they try really hard in school, and I couldn't be prouder of both of them. They're great kids, and they keep me on my toes.
Sure.
People are like, ask me, why don't you write another book? And I'm like, if you give me 32 hours in a day, then, hey, I'm good to go. Otherwise, I'm sunk with time, man.
That's right.
Yeah. So but I stay on the run, but I wouldn't have it any other way. You know, people ask, what, do you remember your life before your kids? I'm like, yeah, I do. I remember it, but I wouldn't want to go back to it.
Yeah, no,
I'm good.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want anything to be different but them.
Lord, no, I'm 100%. And you're exactly right. I mean, some of the times we talk about it a little bit here, is like struggle bus or whatever. We got it on the Scrabble board.
Sure.
It is, man. It is a constant struggle. It's a constant, you're worn out, you're running, you're wide open, but you're exactly right. Wouldn't have it any other way and just nothing else I'd rather be doing.
Well, I have, I do a couple of guys trips, with my friends from college. Sure. I mean, my fraternity brothers are still tight like nuts and bolts.
Absolutely.
Thick as thieves, 20 of us. We still have a group me, which God forbid if it ever got released to the public. But we go on guys trips, and but I don't know about you, I have a 72-hour window from being gone, and then I'm like, all right, I got to get back. Yeah, because I don't know, because I don't really need a break from my kids. Really.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
I don't need a break.
Every now and then a night off, I'm like, all right, but then I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm good. Just need to recharge for a minute.
I had to go out to, it was awesome. I had to go out to Scottsdale. This was just last year at the end of it for just a log conference or whatever. And I was out there for like 3 days. And by the third day, I was like, I'm ready to go home. I'm ready to go home. I don't need it.
I'm exhausted.
A night off is fine. But then you realize, hey, it's weird. It's almost like the silence is deafening. You know what I mean? So I'm like, you're sitting there in your hotel room and you're just kind of like, well, now what?
And I don't know about you, man, but I'm not a night owl anymore. I wasn't really all that much in my life, but younger days. But now, I mean, if I see 11 o'clock, I'm in trouble. I'm struggling. This isn't working.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, those nights where it get bled over into after 11 o'clock, I'm just going,
what's happening?
No.
Why am I here?
Right.
I mean, nothing good is going to come of it. I mean, I'm not going to look back and be like, I'm glad I stayed up late.
No. And which is interesting, man. I used to be like that. I really did.
Oh, yeah.
In college, like I said, we'll do whatever. Mm-hmm. Not going out till 9 or 10 o'clock. Now it's just like, oh my God, 9 or 10 o'clock, I better be in the bed.
Oh, yeah. People ask me like, hey, we want to go out. You want to go at like 8 o'clock? I'm like, no.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. No. Can we go at 6?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm ready now. I want to be back by 8.
Absolutely.
Done.
Oh my God.
No. And that makes me sound like Old Man River. But I mean, hey, I need my beauty sleep.
It is what it is, man. Mm-hmm. Dude, you wake up with a good night's sleep, it changes everything.
It's the biggest and best performance enhancing drug there is.
That's right.
Yeah. Man, I feel
science
that.
is coming out with all that stuff. I mean, how important it is.
Yeah. It is. Because, you think about it, you burn the midnight oil when you're younger, it's whatever. I mean, I did it in law school. I'm sure you did too.
Oh, yeah.
Like right now, I mean, if I did that, I would be not my best self at all.
No.
And, I remember slamming, 6 or 7 cups of coffee and, studying for real property which I use so much.
Right. Yeah. Real property, the best class of all
real property,
time.
Calculus, and all the square dancing I did in elementary school. Never used any of them at all.
Right.
I would not do that now. I don't do it now.
Yeah.
I'll do it during the day and then cut it off, man. No matter where I'm at, I'm like, I'm going to have my quiet time, and I'm not going to stay up.
That's
do
good.
all that. Yeah.
No, that's really good.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me now, I'm getting into it. So, all right, where did this affinity for wine tasting, and then how did that progress to getting to such a high level? That's crazy.
Yeah, by chance, really. I went to Napa. This was probably about 2008. I went to Napa Valley, California, with a completely blank slate. I really didn't know anything about wine. I'm in college. I would, occasionally get the third shelf gas station wine, with my friends and hang out. But that's all terrible stuff. But back then you didn't know. So I went to Napa, and completely open mind. Went to the very first winery that I'd ever been to, and it was a place called Pope Valley out there, and it was family owned.
Okay.
And so I'm out in this tasting room, and this is a very rustic outdoor tasting room, not done up and not state of the art by any stretch. Mm-hmm. Sitting there waiting, and this guy pulls up in like an old beat up F-150 with a straw hat on, covered in dirt. He has a fountain, like an old hand pump water out there, and he washes dirt off his hands, wipes it off on his pants, comes in there, takes off his straw hat, and says, "Well, let's try this wine that I made, more or less." And he was the owner, like 4th generation owner of the place or something like that. And he, I was hooked because like, these are people that kind of reminded me of people from Cassville.
Yeah, absolutely.
But self-made kind of people who work with their hands, and they tried hard, and some days are good, some days aren't, but they're real proud of what they do out there. And he poured us cabs and whatever else he had, and it was all fantastic. Yeah. And I never had wine like that before in my life. I told you I was the gas station wine guy. Yeah. And he told us all about everything that he had going on out there. He took us into this cave on the side of the mountain where his winery was, and it had been dynamited out by his great grandfather in 1893. And he took a flashlight and he showed us a rock up in the corner of the cave, and his grandfather's initials and the date that he finished dynamiting out that thing were engraved in a rock.
That is
1893,
cool.
I think. So
wow.
That's how I got hooked, and then progressed from there. I went to different wineries and people with different stories, but the same sort of protocol. Small lot, not the big ones.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people that like to go where they have a name tag and it's like, this is our greatest Chardonnay. It's like, that's not my thing. If you want to go on a tour bus and do that, hey, more power to you. Sure. But I like the small lot, smaller vineyards, and it just kind of took off from there. And then I thought, maybe I need to see how much. I picked up a lot of knowledge over time, and then I thought to myself, I need to see what I really know with this thing. So during COVID, I had a little more downtime. I engaged with what's called the WSET, which is the sommelier test, more or less, without the service portion. Okay. It's not quite as comprehensive, but it's fairly close. So I did the first 2 tests online, which is wild because you taking a test online by yourself is hard to do. But I had to download this program where it videoed me, and I had to show the camera and show the entire room when I was sitting and record it, and then send it off to the people who would be grading it, making sure I wasn't cheating or didn't have notes sitting beside me and all that. So the first 2 tests were 250 multiple choice tests over a range of things about wine, from the grapes to the regions to making it, all kinds of stuff. And I did very well on the first 2, and the third level one was incredibly hard. It was 50 multiple choice questions, 26 essays.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was able to pass that one as well. But I had to take that one in person up in New York, and so I had to fly up there, and it was pretty wild because the only person in the room that didn't have a job in wine or the restaurant industry was me.
Wow.
So, I was just doing it to see if what I was able, what I could handle. These folks, their livelihood depended on it.
That's right.
They were stressing to the max, and I really wasn't. But I studied really hard for it. Like, it was almost like the bar exam.
Wow.
Like that much.
I remember that. I remember kind of like during that time period, I was out at the club, and of course, and somebody had mentioned like, hey, I was like, well, where's Brad at? And he was like, oh, he's at home studying.
Yeah.
I was like, that's super cool, man.
Yeah. So
good for you.
Yeah,
I
would work and study it at night. So, I'll go up there and take the test, and I know it made these people mad, but I was the first one done. So I got done. I turned. I did the tricky Dick Nixon 2 peace signs, and walked out there and got on the waterway and went over to the city for a little while and hung out. But I ended up passing it, and it was very hard. But it's kind of a labor of love for me. I really enjoy learning about it more than anything. It's not really for me, especially if I do tastings for people. It's like I'm talking and telling people what's going on. I'm not really participating. Right. And people who have been there with me, they know. It's work for me, but I really enjoy doing it. It doesn't feel like work at all. And I had to learn with those tests, especially the third level. They could ask you anything. So one of my essay questions was about what white wines from the Loire Valley in France, and the next one was about Tokaj from Hungary, and then then there was another one about Slovenian wine, and then there's another one about South Africa, and what if this weather happened and this soil was in the ground? What would you do to save your crop? Because there's that different kind of range. Gosh. And then Australia, U.S., Canada. It was a lot, and you had to know it all because you didn't know what they would say.
Man, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
So I like this because I'm a lay person when it comes to wine, for sure. So good starter, if you said, hey, listen, I'd like a solid go-to on a basic level, right? Because I'm sure your palate is so refined, but mine, I'm just like, I'll take the red one or I'll take the white one.
Yeah.
What's a good wine you say, hey, like, if you see this waddle out, hey, if you just need a good wine, not going to break the bank, what do you go to?
Well, you want to, if it's a label, I mean, if you want a label, I mean, it just depends. As far as the grape goes, you can never really go wrong if you're a layperson and you want something that everybody can get behind at a table. Like if you're ordering dinner for everybody and you don't want to make anybody mad or make somebody feel uncomfortable or whatever. I would say my go-to is most of the time is Italian.
Okay.
Yeah, get a Montepulciano.
Okay.
Because most of the time it's not too heavy, it's not too high in alcohol, it's not incredibly tannic. It's just something that everybody can enjoy. And if you want to do that, they're normally in the $40 to $50 range, so nobody's breaking the bank.
Right.
Because some people get weird about that. Like some people don't care about spending money on wine. Other people are like, I don't want to pay $500 for a bottle. And I don't blame them because there's some I wouldn't pay $500 for. I promise you. But Montepulciano is one that you can.
Okay.
I've rarely ever struck out with that, and it goes with just about any food.
Okay.
And it's incredibly versatile, and it can be chilled or not. It's good either way. It would be my go-to if you were just a layperson trying to impress a table of people.
Sure.
Order that.
Having your own kind of little dinner party or something like that. Okay.
And it won't break anybody's wallet because a lot of times with wine that can happen.
Yeah.
I have been to a couple of dinners where they're like, hey, do what you do. And then the bill came, and they're like, "What did you do?"
What did you do? Well, I did what I.
You told me to do that. But
careful what you ask for.
Yeah, but I mean, but to be honest with you, Zach, though, there's a lot of people ask me, can you tell a difference between a $200 bottle of wine and a $500 bottle?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Okay.
A lot of times you're paying for the name on it,
Gotcha,
or where it was grown. You're not paying for it because it's better.
Interesting.
Because I mean, I've had $40 bottles of wine that are better than a $300 bottle of wine.
That's where you find.
Yeah.
You know what's something too that I found out of? I like bourbon a little bit more. I'm not one of those crazy bourbon people, but I follow that a little bit more. And what I recently learned was, some of these older, more aged, bourbons aren't necessarily quote unquote better, but you're paying for the loss that evaporates because the barrel cost X. They age it for Y, and over the time when it evaporates, you're having to actually still pay for that bill. That's why it yields less but costs more. It's not necessarily just the taste. So.
Sort of like wine, really.
Okay.
You have, like, if you pay, there's some Napa cabs that are just astronomical, and you're paying for where the acreage they sit on, because Napa is the most expensive acreage in the United States.
That makes a whole lot of sense.
Yes, and you never know what the weather was like that year. If their yield was low, it has an impact. There's a lot of different things that impact it. What kind of oak they're using. The cost, because they're passing their cost on to you. I promise you that. They're not,
that's consumerism.
They're not in this. This is not altruism. They're trying to make money. The one kind of wine to me that is the most affordable that can hold up to anything for me is Spanish wine.
Spanish wine? Yeah.
I love all Spanish wine, red wine and white wine too, but more on the red side. Anything from Rioja it's a Tempranillo. It's the grape. One that you find out of there. Highly affordable. They never charge very much. And here's a trivia question answer for you. Spain has per capita more acreage of grapes planted than anywhere in the world.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
Tons of acres.
I would not guess that.
No, you wouldn't. Nobody would. Everybody would say Italy.
Yeah, Italy.
Spain. But that's the most affordable good wine out there. I mean, they never charge much. And another one like that is New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc. They never charge very much for it. It doesn't cost very much to make it. It grows like weeds out there. I mean, they do a really good job with it. And you can get a great bottle of New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc for $10. Kid you not. Stick it in the fridge.
Wow. It'll
be fine. There's one I got from Total Wine one time called Starborough, and it was on sale for $9.99. Stuck in the fridge for a night.
Yeah.
And then, you know what? It was perfectly fine. And I had, a $35 bottle that did not taste as good.
Right.
So, it just depends. But, a lot of times with wine, I tell everybody, your palate is not wrong. What you like is what you like. That doesn't mean you're crazy if you don't like a Napa cab.
Oh, yeah.
I do.
Sure.
But I've had like one group of girls one time, they were like wanting to do it was like a bridal party, and they wanted to do Moscato only.
Oh, yeah. And
I told them, I was
super
like,
sweet.
You don't need me for that. You just go buy whatever from the gas station, because there's not any I'm going to be able to tell you anything about, because you don't want to do a tasting with sweet wine anyway. You'll be
that
sick.
makes sense.
Yeah. So,
God.
I truly enjoy it very much. I mean, wine makes people happy, and especially if you know the story behind the vineyard or the people who made it.
Yes.
And a lot of times the people I order from are people that I'm aware of because of what I do. I mean, there's a couple of small lots out in Sonoma that, I get stuff from, and I know their managers pretty well from talking to them, and, their stuff is always the best to me because I know who I'm buying from and I know what they did to make it. Because a lot of times people ask me, what's the best bottle of wine you ever had? Like, I really don't know.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times it's based on where you are, who you're with, and what the occasion is.
Yeah.
Because I probably had a really good bottle of wine, but I may have been in a bad mood from work and just wanted to have it. I was not in the mood. But if you're in a great mood, and and if the timing is right, and you're with the right people and the right thing, that could be your best bottle. You just never know.
I think that's probably a good perception, man. It's like the experience in and of itself, the experience of wine. Yeah.
Well, you do. And when I was taking those courses, the professors that would talk to us, or the people who were really high levels in wine, the wine industry, would talk to me like, drinking a bottle of wine, especially if it's from another country, it's like you're taking a trip.
Yeah.
To this other place because it's a different soil, it's different. The people are different, the vibe is different, the culture is different, the way it's made is different, the oak is different. So it's a different viewpoint into what region that they come from, because you look at the latitude, and not to get real scientific here, but you look at the latitude on the map and run it across. Oregon and France are lined up pretty much in latitude, and they both grow Pinot Noir, but their Pinots taste very different.
Yeah.
It's the same grape, but grown on the same latitude, but in two parts of the world with two different kinds of soil, with two different kinds of weather. God, so that's why they taste different.
That's super cool and scientific.
So the scientific stuff is really interesting to me, and how it ferments and how it's made afterward too. That impacts the taste just as much as anything. The weather and the soil and all that. There's a lot goes into wine. It's not that easy. And I always wonder, it's like making moonshine. It's like, who figured out this was this is going to work out,
right?
Because I don't know how that even got into their mind.
I would agree 100%.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun to learn about. I do it when I can now. This life, sometimes it just does not yield itself to anything else. But when I can, I still read up on it. I have all the books, and I still do tastings for people privately. Whenever they need me to. So it's fun. I really enjoy it.
I like that, man. I think it's important. Like you mentioned, it's important in what we do to remember to have those little hobbies or whatever from time to time. That if you enjoy a little passion, not to get just because you can get bogged down. So
well, you do, and I think you and I had this conversation a while back, and told you don't forget to smell the roses.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because sometimes this work, and this is not just this work, but anybody else's. Sure. You can forget that sometimes.
You're absolutely right.
And you realize, like, man, you can't let life pass you by too fast and not enjoy it, man. It's not all about it's not all about work all the time, because if you do that, it will be, and then you'll look back and be like, man,
what did I do?
What do I have to show for it?
That's right.
It's really just not worth doing it that way.
Ross's or four-way?
Ross.
Why Ross's?
I like the hot dogs better.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. I'm a Ross's man too. Don't worry.
100%.
100%.
What's your go-to order at Noble and Maine?
I get just a medium drip coffee with cream in it. That's if I do branch out, hug in a mug.
Hug in a mug.
Yeah.
What Zach won't tell you is his favorite is the blackberry mocha.
That's 100% right. It's a little bougie. It's a little bougie.
That's illegal.
I know.
Flavor coffee is illegal. The hug in the mug is pretty solid though, but I don't do it too much.
What is the worst red light in town?
Oh, wow. That keeps changing.
That is such a good
worst red light in town.
Zach is like itching to answer.
My goodness. There's so many.
There's so many bad ones.
There's so many horrible ones. I guess speaking personally, for me, it's the one at Etowah and Old Mill.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
People run the light.
100%.
People run that light all the time. I've been almost nailed. I don't know how many times.
Absolutely.
And then sometimes it doesn't change.
Yep. And you sit there.
And you sit there. It's a disaster over there.
Good. God, I'm glad you said that.
What is your grocery store of choice in town?
Kroger Click List. I don't go in much. Yeah. If I do go in one though, I do go in the Ingles on the west side when I do go in, but most of the time it's Kroger Click List.
Where do you eat at the most?
Waffle House.
Doug's or Cody J's?
Doug's.
Doug's, yeah.
Aaron Ferguson and I went to school together.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, wonderful person.
On the other hand, what's your favorite restaurant in town?
Waffle House. No, it used to be the Cass White Waffle House. They closed it. So, favorite restaurant in town. Going through the Rolodex. I would have to say, it's Jefferson's.
Oh, dude, love Jefferson's.
Yeah, I love Jefferson's. I do. I am a wing lover, and they have a new flavor there called Firecracker, and it's been epic. For me.
Let me tell you something, which is really a fun fact. Kayla loves Jefferson so much, she lied about working there, which is awesome.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she lies about working there. It's so great.
Nice.
I worked there for 7 years.
It's like
I waited on Zach and Alexis for probably 5 of them. Zach has no recollection of
neither
this.
does Alexis.
Dang.
Which is totally fine. I could recite their order to them before they even ordered. And even now, I'm pretty sure I still know Alexis's order.
I think that's a little psychotic that she actually took some time to go to Jefferson's and pull and ask the manager to pull our previous orders so she can memorize them for this fake job she didn't have.
So,
right?
This is crazy. I also specialize in background checks. So if you need me to do that, I can get that done for you. Dig it up on you.
Okay. Who has worse traffic, 41 or Main Street?
Oh, 41.
Yeah, 41's been real bad lately.
Yeah. You should see it which is unbelievable to me. Mac Johnson and 41. Mm-hmm. That used to be no red light.
Yeah.
And now, with Food City and all that there, that backs up to the racetrack and sometimes past that. Mm-hmm. That's insane.
You have no idea.
Yeah, ridiculous.
What's your favorite cookie at Egan's?
The chocolate drop. Yeah, classic. Those are great. I told Abby if she ever quit making them, I really don't know what I would
Abby,
do.
We need the recipe.
What's your favorite ice cream flavor at Coconuts?
I'm gonna go old school here, pistachio.
Pistachio.
Pistachio is my favorite flavor of ice cream, and they have really good pistachio there.
They do. All right, last one. What is your most favorite thing about Cartersville?
Oh, dude, solid.
It's a combination. The camaraderie of people who have been here and who know each other from way back, but we also have the assimilation of the new people here, and everybody seems to stick together, whether you've been here for a long time or been here for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of got a common goal, and I like that about Cartersville. It's a good community, and folks, look out for each other.
That's right. Yeah, man. Thanks for spending a little bit of time telling us a little bit about comprehensively what's going on in your life. And I've been like I said, I've been super excited to get you on here and just hear a lot about really those little intricacies. I just didn't know about as much. So anyway, thanks. I'm super excited, man. I'm super excited to get this out and let everybody else hear.
I thoroughly. Yeah, I'm proud for you, man. I know you've done so great here, and I know what great work you do. And a lot of people know it. So you're doing fantastic.
Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
Of course.
Thank you, man.
Of course.
Stay connected with the Law Dad, Zach Pritchard, across all your favorite platforms. Dive deeper into the stories, insights, and behind-the-scenes moments that make the Law Dad your go-to podcast. Follow us on Facebook for updates and community shoutouts. Catch inspiring snippets on Instagram. Connect with Zach on LinkedIn for professional insights. And don't miss our exclusive content on YouTube. Find our social media links in the description of today's show. Follow us now on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube.
This show is for informational purposes only. It does not constitute tax, investment, or legal advice. Please consult with a qualified professional before taking any action.